Hello, everyone. Um, Welcome to another episode of the Super Mader Brothers podcast. My name is Jaemeel. With me is Foster,
Heyo.
and today we are Maderless, as currently Dave is doing an episode of Live Long and Podcast. Their villains ranking episode, so we are without him. Today we are doing the episode 6, which is the POV and veto competition episode. Uh, thank you for joining us, Foster. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I actually saw Dave today, and
Oh,
we got lunch, and it was we were talking about Big Brother, and we were talking. I talked a little bit about the Star Trek podcast, and it seems to me that we are brewing, like there's a storm is brewing, Jameel, and it seems to me we gotta have like a podcast intervention with Dave and be like, Dave, you got to tell us why Star Trek is so good, but so much apparently better than Big Brother and Survivor.
well,
That would just throw him off completely, and it would just be hilarious.
as someone who appears on both, uh, I can understand the pull of the Trek verse. The Trek verse.
Okay, well,
Um,
we're not here to talk about that, but it's fun. It's fun to think about.
yes, yes,
Uh,
yes. So as always, when I'm hosting and doing play by play, and Foster's doing color, it runs a little bit faster, a little faster pace. So please hold on to your socks, listen in. As always, it's always great to get feedback. So please always drop us a like on whatever platform that you're watching us. Put in some comments, and we'll read it out. And always don't forget to rate and subscribe. So let's get going. Previously on Big Brother, we have our HOH, which is good friend Isom. He is our HOH. The Jolly Sir. This is earlier in the week when he was very happy, right? And then we have our individuals on the block. Sorry, which is Riley and Cameron. Riley and Cameron have been nominated for eviction, and Riley is the target for Heisem. Now,
wait. Can you be more direct, Jamil? What did you just say? Is Riley
Heisem wants her gone
is
yesterday.
Riley the target? Oh my goodness.
Riley is the target, which is kind of hilarious. So, for folks who might not, this might be their first episode. Um, Riley was previously the HOH last week in week 1, and she created an alliance with a group of the seemingly younger individuals that she had up in a room. That core group of 5 is called Handful, which is Riley, Blue, uh, Jag, Matt, and Cameron. And then she expanded the group a little bit so that they would have a majority of the household, which included uh, Corey, uh, America, as well as Jared. Jared is a double agent because his mother, Suri, um, is in the house as well. And Suri has her team called the Bye Bye Bitches, is the core alliance, which includes Suri, Miss Felicia, Izzy, Bowie, and Mimi, which is McCall. And then they also expanded their group so that they would have more flexibility in terms of voting power, including Red, Heisem, and then as a secret agent, it's Jared. So those are the sides of the house. Now, um, previously, Jared had the option of uh, of sending someone to the Netherverse, so that Nether Realm or Netherverse, whatever they call it, so
Another
that they
reason.
would be safe. Nether region. Nether region sounds so wrong.
I know. Well, I was
So
having a conversation with Dave today. There has to be some, like, I don't know what it is, but there these these names of all these things are not great, Jaemeel.
They're terrible.
They could have done a lot more work in them. It feels like the multiverse theme, like, which is great. I like the theme. Like the series is picking up in terms of, like twists and turns and stuff. I'm trying to look at the core, you know, I get what's the word I'm looking for? The core,
Thought
um,
process,
like
the
no,
concept,
the core, like
thread.
extra or core, whatever the thing, and I can't really think of the word, sorry, right now. But the point is that it's picking up, and but it seems like they lacked on the names, right? And it just seems like it just was really slack. Like it just I don't understand because like it's you
They
have all
sound
this time.
corny.
Come on, do better.
They sound corny.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Like, it just seems like there could have been a little more creativity involved. And I guess part of me, I don't know, a lot of it when I see Big Brother and I kind of think that way, and it's like, why is it like this, or why is it shown this way? Like, I'm an adult, right? Like, there are families, there are kids, there are, there's a family audience, right? So I have to I have to put that in perspective in terms of who they're trying to show this to.
It's a weird balance that they have to to meet, but at the same time, you're right. It is terrible naming conventions, and you would think that if they had, like, let's say, a little bit more time or effort directed towards finding that name that finds that balance of portrays the information correctly, at the same time it doesn't found I don't feel goofy and insulted when hearing them say scary verse. You know what I mean? Like, there should be better. You're right. You're absolutely right. So yes, there's a multiverse theme in this season where, not just with the houses, but also with the challenges and some of the overlying aspects of the show. So individuals are sent to the nether realm, and initially Jared was sent after losing HOH, and he picked Jag, which made Jag safe from being nominated and safe for the week. When Jag came back, he was left with a decision. So let's fast forward to that. Sorry, we got a lot of time with various conversations with Heisem and Riley speaking, and those were not the best conversations that we were seeing
No, he
at
talks
all.
down. He talks down to her. He
Yeah,
is very. He's not self-aware in terms of like he speaks his mind, which I can. Okay, I'll be honest. At first, it was like, good for you. You're a big brother. You're speaking your mind. You're being direct. You're not beating around the bush, right? Which is something you don't see very often on these type of shows, right? Especially early on. So at first, I was like, it just from a watching TV perspective, I was like, this is kind of fun, right? Like he's kind of like just telling people how it is, and like, the house is divided. It is what it is, right?
yeah,
But then you see the way that he's kind of deliberately bringing things up unnecessarily to kind of say like you screwed up and it's your fault, Riley, and like what I mean. Like he's trying to like he's belittling her in the sense that he's has to explain to her so many times. It seems like this is why I'm doing this, but I still love you, and
yeah.
it's just like why do you have to say anything at all? Why do you have to have this conversation?
He comes off as abrasive, patronizing, and if he wasn't such a comp threat, you'd want to keep him in the game because you know that people are always gonna like you better than him,
Yeah.
regardless. Right? The more time you spend with someone like him, you know that you're like, I like him, but when he opens his mouth, I hate him.
Yes.
Right? And that's definitely how he comes across. He's probably used to having a group of friends where they speak very frank to each other, and that's their thing. But the problem with that is understanding where you fit in the social dynamics of a household of people who aren't your friends, right? And I think he's kind of forgotten that, right?
Yeah.
Um, Additionally, um, I can absolutely understand why he was so appealing, especially at first, because um, Big Brother has changed in terms of the individuals that have been casted on the show. In the early days, there was a lot of opinionated individuals who didn't necessarily care about post Big Brother type of opportunities, right? This person is very opinionated and has no problem sharing his opinion. That's classic Big Brother, and a character that is a breath of fresh air, but at the same time comes across as abrasive. He's a great character you want on the show, nonetheless. Okay, so moving on. Jag eventually comes back from the Nether Realm, and he's left with a decision: who is he going to choose to replace him? So Suri details the information as to what his choice is going to be, and he first starts off interviewing various members of the household, trying to see if there can be some volunteers. Sorry, even before they did a conversation with Hisam, and Hisam, with more no uncertain terms, basically said, "Keep that in mind that don't do anything funny. Um, you know, you don't want to mess things up for you." And then eventually he kind of hinted at he wanted Blue to be nominated, right? Regardless, Heisem eventually talked to a whole bunch of people. They did not want to volunteer until talked to Bowie, who gave him the green light by saying whatever, and that was enough. And Bowie ended up being the one who was chosen to the Nether Realm. Um,
Another region.
Another region.
Yeah.
I
Which, by
hate,
the way, is which brings up not the mistake, but the another region brings up an interesting point that I was thinking of, is that when they're bringing these people and they're kind of like, it's a chain reaction of like one after another, they're bringing them in and they're like, there's somebody not available for the POV, there's somebody not available for the nominations, there's somebody not available for whatever. Like, it seems like if they switch like every week between verses and kind of have like a theme kind of theme week, whatever, right, where there's some sort of twist for that week because of the verse or whatever.
Mhm.
But also, on the other hand, what if they do this for throughout the season, right? Because it does seem like a very interesting tactic to kind of plan around, because if you're giving somebody away and taking somebody away from the other side from participating or being around for something, well, then they get the advantage coming back to give it to somebody else, right? So I don't know. I think that because it's so new, it's kind of fresh in everyone's mind. But I think that there's a strategy here that could be implemented.
Well, okay. My issue with it is I have no problem if it's a 1 week thing, because if you do this for any longer, there needs to be a pot at the end of the rainbow, right? Otherwise, I feel like it was just done just cuz, right? It needs to eventually escalate, right? Bigger punishments, bigger rewards, right? Or at least one big punishment, one big reward, right? So someone's left with a hot potato. But if it's gonna be nothing and it's just gonna be kind of like this, I prefer to be 1 week, 2 week maximum, right?
Well, I'm thinking like, what if they? Well, how many weeks is this though? It's 6 or 8 weeks, right?
I more on the latter side, but yes, that's 100
Eight
days.
weeks, right? Yeah, yeah. So like they could theoretically, if there's four verses, they could do each verse twice, right? So they could theoretically be swapping between the verses each week, and but then they would do two of each verses, right?
But then you're going to be left with too little people, especially in the latter weeks, right? You don't want to do this all the way to the end or even
No,
close
no,
to
no,
the
no,
end.
no, no. I'm saying like, so like you would do like 4 weeks of one verse each week, right? So then if there's 8 weeks, you would do each verse twice, is what I'm saying. It's only 2 weeks total. Yeah, I'm
No,
complicated. What do you want to do about it? What do you want to say, Jaemeel?
2 weeks. If it's 2 weeks, if
You
you're
said
saying
2 weeks is fine.
2 weeks, I'll be fine with it. That's
I'm
what I
just
mean. If
saying it
it's
might
two
not be
weeks,
back to back.
Okay, I just don't want it to impact where it's like we don't have enough people later on the season when they're like, let's say there are 10 people in the house,
Well, that's why they're doing it like the second week, basically.
which is fine. I can concede to that thought process. I just wouldn't want it to last for a long period of time,
No, I wouldn't want to
right?
see it the whole season, especially if
Yes.
it's this frequently that they're taking people out of the game.
Hmm.
For like every single little instance. Like it's one thing to what was the it's like America's player, Canada's player they have, and the other one where it's like they're safe for the week, right? So they're just
Yeah.
completely taken out of the whole possibility of being involved. So obviously this like once again this adds a little more layers to it, but it just like I said, like it feels like there's because the way that this like there's all this scary verse the orb keeps flashing, right? So but like the other rooms don't. So that tells me that they have something in store for each of those rooms, to like fill the season up, if you will, right? Because they can't just do the same thing over and over again for the scary
Fair.
verse.
Very
But
fair. Very fair.
I just don't know what it is, and we'll have to see week to week. But like I said, like I think it feels to me that the way they're doing it could be a week to week thing. Now that they're in second week, the first week's over, and they're kind of in the game.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I can concede to that. Okay. So, um, Bowie is chosen, and Riley
It's
was not happen.
yeah,
I
I
had to
roll.
read this picture. She had two looks of just completely like, oh my gosh. Um, she wanted. She was hoping that Red was going to be there because um, she felt that Red was a strong player against her and wanted to eliminate Red from the competition so that she had a better chance of winning. Heisem was pissed because they talked Blue and Blue was not chosen.
Oh,
Um,
he's just doing whatever he like. It's whatever he's like. Oh, I said this and you didn't do it. Well,
yeah,
it's like I know you're HOH, but like pump the brakes, like relax. You know what I mean? Like he's not in your alliance, right? Like why would you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
you
He's
can't
not
expect
going to do everything that you say, right?
like
People are,
it's just once again you're fine to not get you're allowed to be upset about not getting your way. Just don't show it as egregious, like as an egregious act. Like it's not the end
yeah,
of the world. Like relax. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't. Something did not go your way. Calm down.
yeah. People refer to this as HOHitis. It's completely gone to his head, and he needs to detox very soon. So we go into the Power of Veto, uh, nomination ceremony. Very clear. Um, if Heisem wins, most likely he's going to keep the noms the same. If Riley wins, she'll take herself off camera and will do the same. Now, if one of the individuals from Riley's group uh, wins, they will obviously take Riley down and also have safety themselves for winning. Now, Heisem has already indicated that if Riley's taken down, Matt will be the replacement. So there's a kind of motivating factor for Matt to kind of win it, so he's protected. Because then, Jagger's already protected, and most likely the third person up would be Blue. Right?
I can't remember if it was before or after this selection. What he did when did he talk to Matt before or after in the
Well before, well before,
oh, it was
well
so
before.
dumb because it was like it's just like but it was like such an obvious threat. Like and it was just like he's like you better not use it because like you think of the consequences and it's just like Matt's just like okay sure screw you. It's like
he's just so direct. So Matt was like taken aback.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, I would be too, right? And I feel like that's the way that Riley's handled a lot of the conversation. For whatever reason, we keep having Heisem having conversations with Riley, and it's like, why are you doing this? You don't need to talk to her because you're being a complete, you're not being very
yeah,
rude, right? At this point, right? You're not being considerate. You're being obnoxious, right?
yes,
In a
very much
sense.
so. Very
And
much so.
so, but when she's like speechless when it seems like when he's talking to her, because like I would be too, like I would be shocked because I'm not expecting someone to speak to me that way, especially in a game in a situation where you should be on the same level as that person.
You're all in the same house. Yeah,
Other than being the HOH, right? But like that's not
you're
a
all in the same house. What you mean, right?
what? Sorry.
You're all in the same house is what you mean. Like you'd think
Yeah.
that it's like, hey, I'm also in the house. I want to be at the very least be cordial. We might not necessarily agree, but I'm going to show you a little respect. He seems to have no little to no disregard
No,
or regard.
it's not disrespect on a game talking level. It's disrespect on a human talking level, right? And that there's
Yeah.
that line that he's crossed, and it's unfortunate because once again, at first it was kind of like once again I thought it was funny because you don't see that on these shows because you're not expecting it, right?
Hmm.
But it wore out very quickly because throughout the episode it was like, oh, this is not good. It's very uncomfortable even, right?
Yeah.
And especially when it's a one-on-one conversation and you can't really do anything about it because you're like a bystander at that. You feel like a bystander.
Yeah, you're
But
right.
yeah. But anyways, no, it is. But if I may, the vote was hilarious because it was everyone against Heisem, right? So it was Heisem against
Well, Heisem picked, and he was hoping for someone on his side, and of course, he picked Matt, who he
oh
did
my
not
goodness.
want at all. And then it was Cameron's turn, and Cameron chose America. And then it was Riley's turn, and she got house guest choice, to which she picked to play on her team, Blue. Right? So it was absolutely,
Everyone against Heisem. Right, the only
yeah.
other person that would have been like if because Jag could have been in that, I think, right?
Yeah,
And
but it would be pointless to give it to Jag because
no,
he's
but he could have
already
been
saying
drawn. I would assume, right?
yes,
He could have been
yes,
drawn. But it's interesting that like it's oh it does bother me a little bit because it's one of those situations where it's like, please tell me that wasn't fixed. Like it's just like and
hmm
it's more and it's just more of like, are you serious? Like the coincidence of that kind of thing, or I don't know. It's just it rubs me. I don't want to believe it, right? I don't want to say it even. It bugs me to say it, right? But it's just like it's almost
yeah,
too convenient.
yeah. It's like this is a narrative, and you're trying to tell the specific chapter of the story. It just
Yeah,
seems a little weird. You're right, but it comes across as great TV.
of course.
Uh,
That's the
yeah.
problem, right? It's all. At the end of the day, it is controlled chaos, if you will, right?
Yes. So we go into our POV, which Matt Cameron starts us off first. So can you describe the POV? Best place to get. Go ahead.
Um, honestly, it was three turntables. They had to decipher some sort of brief 1 to 3 or 4 word answer, it seemed like, and chain them together in some order. They were in order, so you had to chain them together to complete a phrase that would tell you to do something, right? So it was
Yep.
basically like a jumble word kind of mashup, if you will, right? But from a hearing perspective, right?
Yep.
And they had to like, so they would slide it forward or backwards, and they try to like get the sweet spot of like trying to hear it correctly, right?
Yep.
So it seemed like it was very simple. I want to take a minute or a couple minutes here, actually, not even a minute, a couple minutes, Jaemeel, okay?
Yeah.
Because I want to really, I'm very curious as to how Matt has been able to do these challenges because it seems like the HOH was a like it was a listen, they're all listening, right?
Yep.
And this one's listening. So it's just like, so how, and once again, it's impressive, but I'm just extremely curious. How are they able, what are they doing? Are they not, are they letting them, before? Are there cues behind the scenes that we don't see? Like, what do you think? Or what do you
So
know?
so for Matt, they've been giving him scripts where he's able to learn the rules prior
Okay.
to the game. And also, there are times where people have been assisting him and kind of detailing the dialogue that is being played. Like when individuals are in the nether realm region,
Yeah.
nether region, the video audio is very low, so he struggles. So, some people have just detailed what people have said, right? So he's kind of
Is he partially deaf or is he fully deaf? Like, how is
he's.
he able to listen to, like, because he's listening to, it seems like he was listening on headphones in this POV challenge, right? So how does that work?
I think that he has a lot of hearing loss, a substantial amount that he is considered deaf. Now, um, okay, this was going to come up, and I was kind of looking to see exactly what the issue is. So, reports say that there was an issue with this competition, and Matt was the unfortunate victim of this challenge and was at a major disadvantage. So much so that um, there was an apology provided, right?
Wow, interesting. Yeah, because once again, like, it's out of curiosity,
Yeah,
right? It's just like I'm very interested to see how he's able to um, navigate situations where there isn't like a visual host.
correct. Um, there have been articles written about this season and specifically Matt and the things that they have kind of provided to assist him in his journey in this game. That being said, example of this POV is one where they kind of missed the mark. Um, Now, we don't know the full details as to how much he struggled with it because any subsequent conversation about said issue usually gets cut off whenever the house guests are talking about it. So, until he's out of the house and able to explain kind of that situation, we're only left with speculation um, and time. Because the times are detailed and they only listed the top three performances, and Blue came in third, then Cameron, and once again, Heisem wins the Golden Power Veto with a time of 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Yeah, he's just dominating,
Yeah,
but he's not gonna last. There's no way he could last, especially with the way that he's treating and talking to people.
yep, I agree. Um, Also, there's way too many people that actually care about Matt and care about how things are going. We just saw a previous season where we had a contestant who was extremely dominant in challenges, and it became very difficult for them to get eliminated from the game. Heisem, you should kind of know, like, don't follow the same path as that individual because you're not gonna make it near to the end. No one's gonna want to take you.
Yeah.
But regardless, he wins and he provides a veto speech that I strongly believe was cut as well, um, where he kind of details, this is my wishes. Please vote for Riley. She needs to go. How's, the unity of the entire household, how she's responsible for her own fate. And Riley takes as a champ kind of being disrespected and talks to the way she is in front of everyone, mind you, in front of everyone. Now, this speech supposedly was a lot harsher than what they showed on television, because right after he came from the diary room, he went into this elaborate campaigning of apologies of how harsh he came across, referencing to talking to Riley and what she did at the start of the house and how she's responsible for her fate. A little bit too much crossing the line. You've technically won your race, right? There's no need to throw a couple more shovels of dirt onto the team.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's interesting because he probably went into the dining room and they probably asked him some questions, and it probably triggered some sort of realization that, oh yeah, I was a dick.
Yep. Yep. As simple as that. Um, After this POV ceremony, he spends the next little while. We don't really see it, um, but he immediately is regretful of what he said and starts apologizing to her, with the individuals involved and some concepts as well that need to be followed up on. Yep. So um, that is it. The nominations are set. You have Riley as the primary target of, obviously, of Heisem. You have Cameron there, and this is the end of Heisem's power. It's now onto the vote, which will be the next episode. So hopefully you join us as we recap this. Now, I'm not going to be talking about spoilers at all this episode because, one, we're going to cut this really, we're going to keep it short, first thing. And secondly, um, as of this time, spoilers don't really matter because I think everyone should be engaged as to the final leg of this week. Um, Heisem has put himself in a position where he is very polarizing in terms of his attitude, and um, a lot of people have feelings against that, and we're going to see that manifesting with the Riley campaign. So stay tuned for tomorrow. We'll find out exactly who is going to get eliminated, or evicted. Um, Now, folks are like, "Oh, I want to know, Jaemeel. You know the spoilers." It's still going on, so we'll see. It's an interesting situation altogether. Foster, how'd you like this episode?
It was okay. Like one of the other than the feeling uncomfortable. Yeah, with him. It's
Yes, I will agree. I will agree. He is such an interesting character, and I think looking back, we're gonna appreciate it because it's so jarring from a lot of the people that seem to be um, mean, but it's like a competitive mean, right? We haven't seen this level of cruelty from a competitor in a long time, which is kind of refreshing, but at the same time, you
he's
don't
already
really want to cheer for
he's
him.
already crossed the line from a viewer perspective, in my opinion. Which is saying a lot.
Well, understand when you have a character like this, he's great because you want to see them get their comeuppance, right?
Yeah.
If they don't get it, that's going to be the problem. Or it's not if he's not confronted and that's put forth as normalized behavior, that's when a lot of the pushback happens. I feel from a viewer's perspective, right? Like if he has free reign, right? You need your villain, right, to at least be someone to overcome, right? Because if he's easily overcome, then it's kind of boring at the same time, right? Alrighty, that's it for our episode. This is where we kiss some babies and shake some hands. Let me get our feedback showcase. Sorry, I didn't do feedback. We only got two pieces of feedback. It's from friend of the podcast, Sam. Sam goes, "Hey guys," in his classic uh, greetings, and he mentions that Riley's look at the DR. Now, Foster, using your award winning analysis, what look was he referring to? Was he referring to Riley with her glasses? Or maybe it was because Riley was wearing a bikini in the DR. Which one do you think it is?
I'm gonna go with option B.
Ah, interesting choice. Interesting choice. I think so too. I think
And that's just also trying to think of where the answer came from.
and it looks like the Star Trek podcast is over because we got a comment from Davan, who was one of the primary agents, the judges of where the ranking is of Star Trek villains, and he agrees that we can kiss babies. Me specifically, Foster. I think the feeling is going to be extended towards you as well. No worries. I don't think you have to wait for a formal.
Oh, I gotta trim my beard first, man. That's not gonna be a great kiss, you know. It's a little bit of a little, might tickle the little one, you know. It's,
Tickles, the tickles.
yeah.
Okay, so Devin, thank you for stopping by. Um, Part of a federation, a federation of podcasts. Um, where a collective of podcasters and shows have come together under one banner to provide glorious content for you all to enjoy. So check out the entire group at ufpodcasts.com. One of our main shows, the mothership, if you will, is Live Long and Park podcast, our Star Trek podcast, where we have news, reviews, investigation, deep dives in various formats, whether it be at radio theater, where we do, radio plays of Star Trek episodes. You have the Trekkie Trunk, where there's investigations of little boggles and trinkets and merchandise from Star Trek world. You have our reviews. You have Debate Nine, a debate show. It's for the Star Trek universe, and then you have a Locutors of Trek, which does the deep dives, investigations into the Star Trek world. So, Live Long and Podcast, great show. Episode tonight, so there's already content for you to hop aboard on. You have trivial debates. We have a trivia debate show, usually at the last weekend of the month. The next episode is going to be office themes. We were kind of locking down the contestants of the show, which we did. There's going to be some View Askew alumni. Haven't seen them in a bit, so that's going to be fun. Aiming on Track. It is an album review show where they Amen and a company, which is Dave's wonderful son, reviews an entire album and all of its track of an album. The last one they did was The Band. I believe it was One Night Only. So that one's definitely great to watch. You have the Hellbound podcast with Alex Blackburn and Michael Chan. It's an audio only podcast, horror movie review. They're currently on hiatus, but hiatuses happen. You can catch up on the content. So when they're geared up to continue on in their journey to the unknown, you're going to be right and ready to watch with them and listening with them. Speaking of hiatus, I don't care what Davin says. I'm still going to promote this show, even though it's on maybe indefinite hiatus. KBBBL, which it was a Simpsons review podcast starting from the earliest episodes of The Simpsons. Please check out that show. Convince Davin to continue it on KBBL. You have, speaking of Davin, we have X-Men, the animated review show, where Davin and Andre Mayette review all the episodes of X-Men, Fox's X-Men animated show. The most recent episode was Stormfront Part 2. It isn't just a review show. They also do interviews with with artists and also voice actors from X-Men, the animated series. Most recently, they did one with the voice of Nightcrawler. So definitely check that out. They're gearing up for X-Men 97, which should be coming out later this year slash next year. So don't you dare miss it. And speaking of Andre Mayette, you have the Graphic Histories podcast, where Andre goes ahead and does long form interviews with artists and writers and other people in the geek sphere, I guess. Great interviews. Definitely should check that out. Um, World Mind, Chris Murphy and Davan get together every couple of weeks on a Wednesday to find out if movies hold up. Movie review podcast, where typically they take two movies post pre 2000 and one post 2000 based upon a theme, and they determine if the show holds up. So definitely check that out. And I think we've done it. Of course, this is Super Mater Brothers podcast, where we review reality television, primarily Big Brother and Survivor. Survivor's coming up in a couple of weeks. We also do Marvel shows on the. Oh, bear with me. I'm terrible at this. The Mary Mater Marvel Society. We just recently did Secret Invasion. Um, it is a show, so definitely check out our review because I think, like Heisem, we are very honest in terms of our opinions of that series. And that's it. Foster, any parting words?
No, I think we're good. Let's see who gets voted out tomorrow, shall we?
Yeah, tomorrow will be, folks. I don't give you a guarantee very often, right? But I guarantee next episode I wish was a 90-minute episode because a lot happens. A lot happens, right? So definitely check that out. Thank you for watching once again. 42 minutes is the ultimate answer. Good night. Be well and have a good night.